Once upon a time, there was a poor woman named Janaya, hated by life itself. Everything was against her. Yet even in her misery, she had someone, her little daughter Arya, who was very sick. Janaya was always rushing her to the hospital, doing everything she could to keep her alive. One day, while she was giving Arya a bath, the little girl told her that she was being bullied at school because she was poor. Even her teacher had humiliated her in front of the whole class, asking her to bring $40 for a school meal program. Janaya, burning with anger, told her, "Don't worry, I'll get you the $40. But she also said she was going to report the teacher. She packed their things and headed out. While leaving the house, a neighbor who often begged for money stopped her. Even though Janaya barely had any cash left, she gave him the last money in her bag. Right then, her landlord saw her and snapped, "You've got money to hand out, but not to pay rent?" Janaya begged her to wait until 10 a.m. when she would have the money. But the landlord yelled at her again, complaining that the girl next door plays music all night and never pays rent late. And Janaya exploded back in frustration. She dropped Arya off at school and rushed to her job. Being the first of the month, the store was packed. Her manager spotted her arriving late and scolded her immediately. Her very first customer ended up yelling at her because the card machine wasn't working, and when her husband tried to leave, she stopped him. In response, he threw a bottle at her. The manager yelled even louder, "It's always you causing trouble. Clean that mess now." She tried her best, but it was clear the day was only getting worse. A coworker tried to comfort her and gave her some money to help with Arya, but Janaya refused it. Pride wouldn't let her accept help. Later, she received a call from Arya's school saying she hadn't paid that month's fees, so they couldn't keep her enrolled. Janaya promised to bring the money immediately. She told her manager she had to leave briefly for an emergency involving her daughter, but he yelled again, "You either stay and work, or don't bother coming back." She asked to be paid her wages at least, but he said, "Nobody gets paid early. Wait until payday." She left work heartbroken. Desperate, she went to the bank to withdraw the $47 in her account. But the bank manager told her the account was empty. She tried to explain there should be money, but the system showed zero. She gave up and rushed to Arya's school, only to find a social worker there, preparing to take Arya away. Arya cried and called out to her mother, but the school refused to hand her over. They accused Janaya of neglect, saying Arya was always dirty, hungry, and unbathed. Janaya broke down, crying, "That's not true. I work 2 jobs just to afford her medicine and follow the doctor's orders." They didn't listen. They said neighbors had reported her. They believed she was unfit. Despite her pleas, they took Arya away to foster care. Still in shock, Janaya returned to work, determined to prove she could handle her responsibilities, and the roads were jammed. She took a shortcut, but accidentally bumped into an aggressive man who started screaming at her. She didn't react, but he followed her, then deliberately hit her with his car. Even then, Janaya got up and tried to start her car, but it wouldn't start. A policewoman showed up, and the man who hit her started making threats. Janaya tried to explain, but the officer demanded her insurance, which was expired. Janaya begged her to let it go, promising to renew it the next day. The officer refused and impounded her car. Janaya, now completely defeated, walked back to her job, but the manager fired her on the spot, replaced her with someone else, and didn't even pay her. She returned home, only to be thrown out by her landlord for not paying rent. Everything was gone, her project, Arya's medicine, her last hope. In pure rage and desperation, Janaya took Arya's school project, her medicine, and headed to her manager's office to demand her paycheck. But just then, the store was robbed by a group of armed men. One of them read her name tag, called her out, and told her to put all the money into her bag. She pleaded, "Take everything, just not this bag. It has my daughter's project inside." He tried to take it anyway. She resisted. A struggle broke out and the gun went off. Janaya was shot. The robbers fled. Her manager, seeing an opportunity, accused her of staging the robbery. "I heard him call you by name. You planned this." She screamed that it wasn't true, but he was relentless. In a panic, she grabbed the gun and shot him too. She took her paycheck and fled to the bank. But by then, the police were after her. Detective Raymond, reviewing the store's surveillance footage, began to suspect Janiyah wasn't a criminal, just a desperate mother. At the bank, Janiyah tried to cash her check, but they told her she needed an ID, which she didn't have. She pleaded, but they refused. Desperate, she pulled out the gun and shouted, "I just want to feed my daughter." The bank locked down. SWAT was called. Customers panicked. But slowly, people began to understand her, especially after an old woman live-streamed the incident, showing that Janiyah was kind, offering people water and even chairs. Janiyah kept shouting, "I don't want to rob anyone. I just need $40 so my daughter can eat." The live stream went viral. People outside the bank rallied in support, shouting, "She's a good mom. Let her go." Even the beggar she once helped stood with her, and the police started to hesitate. Raymond begged his superior not to storm the bank. Inside, a school project in her bag began to light up and beep, causing panic. They thought it was a bomb, but it was just Arya's science project. Raymond finally confronted the officer who hit Janiyah with his car earlier that morning. Furious, she punched him in the face and exposed his abuse. He was removed from duty. Meanwhile, Janiyah spoke with her mother on the phone and received devastating news. Arya had died at the hospital the night before. Everything, the bath, the school, the project, was a hallucination. A trauma-induced break from reality. The hospital had called, but Janiyah never answered. She had been carrying a blanket all along, not Arya. The police escorted Janiyah out peacefully. She was broken, silent. Detective Raymond tried to comfort her, but Janiyah couldn't stop crying. All she ever wanted was $40. The end. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share the story with others. This was a tragic tale of love, loss, and the extreme measures a mother will take for her child.